this video is going to be a bit different, or format a bit differently than usually my other reviews. So sit tight, and if you guys like the new format of the video, feel free to let me know. And that being said, let's hop right in. Enjoy Hey everyone, this is Games. Here back from here to help me reviewing the game Periastron Stars RPG. It's a game made by pkClockwork, the same people. pkClockwork, the same person that made Terraria RPG, which had over 6 million visits, and I think it's been around since like 2019. I'll have to recheck. But Terraria RPG lived its last span, has overlived its last span of an RPG game, and it's not like the best RPG out there. So but I'll have a look at. But that's not the point of this. The point of this video is to review Periastron Stars RPG. So that being said, let's up Brian. So yeah. So for those who don't know, Periastron Stars RPG is a game made about, I think at the start of this year. I think around around December of last year. So it has paved the way for our Periastron RPG Kit Games V2, our Periastron V2 Kit Games as a whole. However, though, for what's worth, I will say it's really well modified. So for those who don't know, the three areas I played during my first 20 levels in the game was, I believe, the camp spawn, the grass forest spawn place, the village, the usual place you find in the RPG games start off with. Then there was a bandit camp, which kind of gave me vibes to Legendary Swords RPG, Legendary Swords and Tales of the Prada Swords, which also was a really interesting game. So, might I just say, those games really gave me some classic vibes and also some Mario vibes at the same time. Pretty interesting way to make an RPG game combine into classic and modern. It's a really interesting concept when you combine a classic RPG to a modern RPG. However, though, what I will say is that it's pretty good. What I will say is that it's a really good traditional RPG that you guys will have to look at. So let's get started with the mob style. So for starters, when I first played the game, the grass monsters were actually pretty interesting. They looked really basic, but that's pretty like many RPG games, honestly. And personally, the design isn't like the best. Now for the grass area, I will admit the grass area was really kind of small. Like, no, it wasn't small, but it was more so like very empty. However, I'm not sure what it was meant to be. Was it meant to be like a grasslands area, a plains area, a forest area? I don't know. But from what I can tell, it must have been like some kind of grassy grasslands area. So I will say it was actually a really good experience to take a look at, and the way the mobs really looked pretty cool for a start. So. And for a classic vibe, it actually gave me an interesting feeling of reliving the classic days of RPGs, while at the same time looking into the modern take on RPGs as well. So the game really did well in that. So basically, what I can say is that if you guys are looking for an RPG game like with a classic style and a modern take on RPGs, then you pretty much have yourself Periastron Stars. That's basically a really good example of that game or that genre. As RPGs as a whole, honestly, it's a really good game. I can clearly tell. The menu is clean. It doesn't show much. It doesn't bombard you with your stats. The stats are like at the bottom, and the armored UI, size UI, and many other stuff is basically like at the bottom left. Yeah, the bottom left, and it actually looks really good. Like you can select the armors. Like you can. The armors don't have like the tools, like don't have like the same. They are like their own items, but like they kind of like it's like the orange UI from Droplets Kit, but it's a sort of, and it really just makes the inventory UI much less cluttered as a whole, honestly, which I gotta say is a definite plus if you're wanting to appease people with making it clean. I think definitely sorting would be a great way to do that, honestly. And also there's a cool feature that what I did notice about this game is that you can have multiple swords, like a quantity. Like you can have 5 gold swords, 5 bronze swords. Well, not 5 bronze swords, no, not that, but 5 golden swords, 5 iron swords, 5 gold grass legends, all that stuff. Now, and speaking of grass legends, the grass legend was dropped by the grass type himself. It was a pretty hard boss for a start, but I will say though, which it really wasn't hard, but it was really good for a boss. It was basically a darker, more giant version of the grass monster, which I gotta say it was quite powerful. I nearly died there, but you can clearly tell it's actually it was an interesting boss fight. Let's just keep it at that for a first boss fight, honestly. But it was really good. So let's keep it at that. I think I got it later. However, not didn't really get on the first try, but I did get it a little later. So, and the grass monster, the grass titan was actually the grass legend, they're dropped by the grass titan, was actually pretty powerful. It actually was able to help me breeze through the grasslands as a whole, and was able to bring me back. And it helped out and helped me out more. So yeah. So those don't forget about the store items too, which is the gold sword and the iron sword. Those things were helpful as well. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about the grass area. Let's talk about the camp area too. The underground camp, the cave camp, or the bandit camp in the cave. So for starters, let me just talk about this. Now let me just say that area was actually pretty good. It gave me, and the reason why I liked it is because you don't see many RPG games with an underground camp. The only games you would see again are like games such as the first area in the Tales of Pride of Swords, and that one area in the Legendary Swords RPG. Well, yeah, so you can clearly tell it actually, and the way they implemented it, I can clearly tell that it was inspired from that. I'm not sure if it was, but either way, their implementation to it was actually pretty good, honestly. The models also seemed very clean and stuff, and they looked basic, which honestly, for classic, I can totally understand it because in many of the RPG games you've seen in the past, it's meant to be basic. So I can totally understand where they're coming from. That so, the theme of this RPG game is classic with more intake. Just even though I've mentioned this in the past, but beforehand, but I will say it was a really interesting experience to be fighting them. Now, the thing I will say about this game is that the sword sound, now, they have attack sounds, of course, like many RPGs have, like, they have hit sounds. However, though, here's what I noticed. So, I'm not sure why, but when grass monsters hit you, they basically make a slicing sound instead of like a punch sound. And the same would go for, like, the Bandit King with his hammer. The hammer just felt like I was expecting more of a punch down, like a sound with like a punch sound you find in Nightlordian where like Nightlordian mobs just basically punch you. You hear a punch sound. I was expecting that. However, I really was expecting the slice sound. That's pretty much my only complaint personally. I mean, but really at the end of the day, it's nothing really to get bad. It's really nothing really to get really worked up over. So I would say that actually really was. But apart from that, I will say the maze and the whole cave area as a whole was actually really good. So. Let me just say, the bandits and the dwellers and all that stuff, they were actually really good mobs. They had like their scarves, the hoods up, and and it brought me back to more classic days, honestly. So personally, I would really recommend. And personally, I think it was really good. So since you're going for classic style, like I said earlier, I'd say that's really good. So yeah, and let me just say, and I personally, in my opinion, I think the game as a whole was incredibly balanced. Well, personally, in my opinion. So yeah, I was like, when I first went into the area though, I was expecting more of a store, like a shop many areas. However, though, not every area has to have a shop, but at least some use of gold. The thing I did like about that is that there's like gold that can actually be equipped. There's like gold that can actually be dropped from not only can gold be dropped from the mobs, but you can also find like chests and XP gems. Where basically you hover, if you walk to it and you touch it, you'll be rewarded XP or gold. And that right there was actually pretty good. Like it brought me back. Like I said, it brought me back to the days where RPGs were a lot more like simpler, while also making being a bit more advanced in some way. Not like RPGs you find every day with like mobs and trees, and this is a plain based potential to have. Not like, and then also you gotta slice your way to victory, and you don't get any XP, you don't get any gold. You can't. And in my opinion, I think it kind of, in my opinion, I think it's not really a good idea because what's the point of exploring the world if you're not going to find loot anywhere? So the way they did it was interesting, and it gives people another excuse to explore the map because it gets to find more gold or secrets, anything else like that. Honestly, so personally, I'd say it's a win-win in my opinion. So if you even camp, or no, not the camp, but I think the thief camp. The Thief Underground Camp was actually a really good area. So, yeah. Now, lastly, for the last part I played was the Forest. I can't remember the name of it, but I guess I'll show up on screen. But basically, the forest actually was pretty good. It had goblins, orcs, and the boss, a druid, or druid, whatever you call him. I don't know. But I see this guy formed for an RPG, and I'm guessing it's like a classic name in the RPG community. I don't know. I don't know that not much of RPGs, classic RPGs, but I do know I've seen this guy around before. So let's just leave it at that. He drops the BWK Katana, and the BWK Katana was a really good sword to bring back. And the BWK Katana was pretty interesting. Now I was expecting more of like a next wood katana, but personal preference. That's just me. I shouldn't really be that big of a deal. Now, what I will mention is how the armors work, which I forgot to mention earlier. But how the armors work, like I said, even though you have to press E to equip it when you. So in order for I forgot to mention this before, but basically how the armors work is that when you to get the armor into your armor slot UI or to get into your armor menu, you gotta press E. You gotta go to the armor in the game and hold down E, and it'll show up in the armor UI. And personally, that's really interesting, and that's just great, honestly. And I think that's a huge plus to the game for people who since most RPG games, many RPG games, just many RPGs as a whole kind of don't really give the player. It doesn't really give players need a reason to move around and play the game, move around and basically discover the areas a bit more and uncover the secrets that the developers placed in the game as a whole. Now let's talk about the shop. Now there was also another shop before. So when I went into the forest, the jungle or forest, whatever the hell it was called, I got it. The Orc Forest. Basically, it had a shop, but the truth is, many RPGs don't really have that many shops. Honestly, they usually have a spawn shop, and that's pretty much it. Honestly, Netherlands that, and that's pretty like any game you expect. Honestly, however, though, they did this a bit more differently, and they basically and the way they design the shops are it's interesting. Like I said, the UI makes the UI more clean stuff. It adds a lot more detail, and it's just. And it just gives you more of a better excuse to use gold. Because many RPGs forget about the use of gold. Hell, does anyone remember Forest of the Games RPG? That game did not have a use for gold. So much so that the creator literally had to say, gold has no use, don't buy it. And they wouldn't display on the UI simply because gold did not have a use. Seriously, you might as well just delete gold as a whole in RPGs if you're not going to use it. That's what I'm going to say. And yeah, I'll admit, Netherlands doesn't have that too, but that's not part of the story. The moral of the story is that Periastron Stars RPG does things that many RPGs don't do, but I personally think is a lot that most RPGs don't do. But I think that's a really interesting way to stand up in the crowd and just ask for people what they want, honestly. Overall, I just say the game as a whole was great. So when I got to 20 levels, I kind of ended the game there, played from there, and yeah, that's about it. So what are my final thoughts on the game and stuff like that? Personally, I think it was really good. It was a really good experience. It was definitely a lot better from what I heard about Terraria RPG. Terraria RPG was one of the best games, so apparently, and I think the creators are saying the same thing as well. So much so they say not to mention Terraria RPG in the game and in Periastron Stars RPG, which I find is quite relatable, honestly, because Terraria RPG was an old game. Terraria RPG was a game that I've heard about, not that many good things about, but I have heard a lot of good things about Periastron Stars RPG. So clearly, the dev team of pkClockwork is basically using criticism and receiving it as well. So this is why I made this video, to get my thoughts on the game and to see how they can improve it. I think the game was great, and it's a lot more different than you see in the It's a totally different way of. It's different than what I've seen in other RPGs. So I'd say it's a good game. And if you guys haven't took a look at the game, I'll leave it down below. It's a really good game. I totally recommend it a lot. So yeah, as far as I'm waiting for the video, if you guys enjoy, and if you guys want to see more reviews like this in this more format, then please let me know down below. Improvement is, I'm still working on some stuff, but this is probably going to be doing my reviews from now on, if you guys like it. But I think that's probably it. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys like any partial comments, please be sure to subscribe, and turn on the bell sign channel. But you also not miss video. And it's my partial comments video. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And this is Big Game 6 out. Peace out.